friends, welcome back to Moss and Mirth. If you're new here, my name's Stephanie and this is where I share my passion for nature and creativity. We do a lot of macrame and DIYs, we talk about plants. So if that's something you're interested in, I hope that you will subscribe. Anyways, today I am bringing you part 1 of 2 in a little series where we're going to do some DIY plaster leaves out of silk leaves. Now, I want to give credit where credit is due. These are actually something that I found in 2 different blog posts, which I will link down below. One is Cottage at the Crossroads did a post on how to do these, and she actually saw them originally done by Sweet Something Designs. So I'll link both of those down below, but this is where I got my inspiration. I don't think these have been done on YouTube though yet, so hopefully this video will help some people out there. These plaster leaves are pretty simple once you get the hang of it. There's not a ton of materials involved. It's a pretty inexpensive project, and if you're really brave, I think that you could do this with older kids. Maybe not toddlers, but I think kids would definitely get into something like this. Just be sure to do it outside. As I said, this will be part 1, but part 2 will be linked down below and also at the end of this video, so be sure to stick around for that. And here is a little sneak peek of one of the projects we'll be making. We'll be making 3 in part 2, but one of the projects is actually these leaf mason jar candle holders. These turned out so cool. I love the metallic paint. But anyways, those will be in the second video, so be sure to go check that out after you watch this video. Well, I think that's enough with the chit chat. Go ahead and grab yourself something hot to drink and let's get started on these plaster leaves. Materials you'll need for this project are, of course, silk leaves. You can get these at a craft store, Walmart, even Dollar Tree has them this time of year. So pick them up anywhere that's convenient to you. You'll also need some plaster of Paris. I purchased mine at Walmart. It's available at a lot of different places. You'll need a plastic cup or a plastic bowl to mix the plaster of Paris in. You'll also need some water to mix in with your plaster of Paris. And you may find it handy to have a paintbrush and even a stir stick to help you with the plaster of Paris. And lastly, you'll want some wax paper or parchment paper to lay your wet leaves on to allow them to dry. You'll begin by mixing your plaster of Paris in your plastic cup or bowl or something disposable. I found that about a 3-to-1 ratio, 3 parts plaster of Paris and 1 part water worked best. I was kind of eyeballing it, so I can't give you exact measurements, but the end goal that you're going for is like pancake batter. So you want it to be pretty runny, obviously not runny like water, but definitely runny enough to work with. Keep in mind that plaster of Paris sets really fast, so I would err on the side of too runny rather than not runny enough. Now you'll just mix all that up with your stir stick, and then you can go ahead and start applying it to your silk leaves. If you bought silk leaves on stems, obviously you'll want to clip them away. You're just going to be working with the leaf part. Now this is total preference as to how you want to apply the plaster of Paris to your leaves. I personally found it better to work with my fingers than a paintbrush. To me, it just got really chunky and kind of glopped onto the paintbrush, and it got really hard to work with that way. So I would recommend using your fingers, but definitely to each his own. I don't have a ton of experience with plaster of Paris, so if you're an expert, I hope you'll leave comments down below to help any other viewers out. I ended up doing 2 coats of plaster of Paris on each side of my leaf. So I added plaster of Paris in 4 different sessions, if that makes sense. So I did the front side of all my leaves and the back side, and then I repeated all that. The plaster of Paris doesn't take too long to dry, but I was working pretty slowly. I was leaving them overnight just to make sure that they were curing well. But according to the box, it only takes about 20 to 30 minutes to harden. So you could definitely do this all in one day and get all of your coats on pretty quickly. As I mentioned earlier, I prefer working with my fingers to do this. So what I did was mixed my pancake batter consistency with my plaster of Paris, and then poured a little dab in the center of my silk leaf, and then holding the silk leaf in my hand and taking my opposite hand and using my finger, I began to spread the plaster of Paris around and out to the exterior of the leaf. And then I laid that down on parchment paper to dry. Don't do like I did and lay them down on craft paper because it will stick. It was ripping the craft paper up once they dried. So parchment paper or wax paper is the way to go, trust me. Like I said, make sure to leave them to dry in between coats, and once you build it up to the thickness that you desire, then you're good to move on to the next step. I wanted my leaves to be pretty thick and pretty sturdy, so that's why I did the 2 coats on each side. But I think you could definitely get away with 1 coat on each side, especially if you end up painting them, which we'll do to a lot of these, well actually all of them, in the next video. Once you've allowed all of your leaves to dry, this is totally optional, but you can go ahead and lightly sand them. I used a 320 grit sandpaper, so pretty fine, and just lightly sanded them to get any rough edges or points out of the plaster of Paris. And then after that, if you want, you could take an X-Acto knife or even like a box cutter. If you have any chunks along the side or where parts of your leaves have stuck together, that's a great way to help cut those chunks of plaster of Paris away. Totally optional, but I do think it helps give the leaves an extra polished look. And that's it, friends. This is a really easy project. It is a little messy, and like I said at the beginning of this video, if you're doing it with kids, I would definitely recommend doing it outside. Once the plaster of Paris sets and really hardens, it becomes hard to get off. So if you have any paintbrushes or anything that you don't want the plaster of Paris to stick to, you'll want to wash those right away. All in all, I think these turned out great, and I'm super excited about how the projects turned out. So I hope you'll stay tuned for the next video. I'll have that linked up here and also at the very end of the video and also down in the description box. So go check out those 3 projects that you can make with these leaves. As always, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Be sure to give it a thumbs up if you did. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done that already. And if you'd leave a comment, I would just be oh so happy. I hope you will also find Moss and Mirth over on our website, mossandmirth.com, on the Facebook page, also Moss and Mirth, and on Instagram at Moss and Mirth. So go find extra inspiration over on any of those platforms. I do things sporadically over on all those channels as well. Anyways, enjoy your fall, happy early Thanksgiving, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! Oh, and if you like my earrings, I made them. They're out of polymer clay, and the tassels are scraps from all of my macrame projects. I will have these available in the Etsy store on Black Friday. So if you're interested in picking some of these up for yourself or maybe as a Christmas gift, I'll have tons of other designs and styles as well. Be sure to go check that out. Anyways, that's really all. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.